What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this guide, I want to talk to you guys about how to break through certain walls, blocking points, bottlenecks in progression that you will inevitably encounter throughout your experience in the game. I got stuck many times in the past, and I wish I knew this tip a little bit sooner. I have used this this function that I'm going to show you guys here in just a second to great effect to break through walls and really accelerate my progress. But I do wish it was a little bit more transparent, a little more clear. And if you guys already know about it, great. I'm still going to have some awesome tips for you guys to learn from and show you exactly how to utilize this. But I think a lot of y'all are missing out on this like I was. So come join me. And for the record, I know a lot of y'all already looking here. My progress has been insane. I'm definitely not free to play. The account is kind of stacked. But for the record, units like Cicia here, I just got to Mythic today. A lot of my using of this sort of trick, this tip I'm going to share with y'all, didn't need, I think she was just base level epic. I was not getting many dupes for her. And all the supports here, I promise you do not need to be Mythic'd out. And we're not even going to use the best tank in the game, Thorn, okay? Furthermore, I'm going to show you guys another account that is way less progressed. That's maybe only spent a couple dollars, if anything. It's probably a free-to-play account. And also is missing some of the key components. So you don't need exactly everything I'm going to talk about today, but I definitely need to share this with y'all. So enough talking. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me over here in the AFK progress section. This is where it's all going to revolve around. This is usually where you guys will hit your walls, right? You're hitting those battles, maybe even the auto battles. That's what my main team there I showed you with the 3 supports, Thorn and Cicia. I just auto battle until I get stuck, and then I roll out this team to fight the difficult content that is way too difficult for my normal team. This team excels at just beating opponent comps that are way higher level, okay? So without further ado, and just real quick, if this is your first idle game, this is where you really want to always break through progression, this AFK part. This is where you get the resources, right? Like the name of the game implies, we get those valuable resources while we're AFK away and just get, you know, power-ups, a lot of milestone rewards, and it kind of bottlenecks your progression in the story and your resonance level. So you always want to stay on top of this and push this as far as you can every single day. So the tip I'm going to share with you guys is how to look at what people are using. This is how I found the composition, the team comp we're going to discuss, and that's right here in the bottom left. It's kind of hard to see, and by kind of, it's very hard to see. I couldn't find this for the longest time, and this isn't my first idle game, so I'm aware of functions like this, but I didn't know it was an AFK journey until my chat told me pretty recently. So click this little button here on the smoking Mirky. It's so tiny, but it'll bring you to this AFK stage, shows you, you know, your rewards currently, and this is why I was mentioning it's so important to do this. Shows the enemy team, but the more important part is this records button at the bottom right, okay? So once again, click the little green icon here on Smokey and Mirky. Records button at the bottom right, and then you're going to see all the teams that people have been using. And when I first saw this, guys, I was astounded. The people were clearing teams that I was using my my best comp that people said the top tier list, the best units. They were clearing it with way lower power levels, and with units that I thought, you know, these are all solid units, but not ones that I thought they'd be using in the AFK part of this, at least this part of the game. Now, this is what you're going to be seeing here, right? And we're going to talk about these exact units and a few more here. This is what the composition is going to revolve around. But furthermore, I want to show you guys the replay function and how you can learn from this. So once again, you can see all the teams here, and most of them, if not all of them, will always have the same kind of core, okay? This is why this team is so dang good. We're going to discuss their strengths, but let's just pick one here, and we're going to go ahead and click replay, and this is where I want you guys to use this function. You can always pause. You can also just turn things like the 2x speed off and just really see where the player is positioning. Slow down the speed and see where they're casting, because we're going to have to use some manual skills too, right? We're turning off the auto function. You don't need to, I'm going to show you a few things here and there on how I personally do it, but we will need to do things like manually cast the Cicia, Carlisle summon, potentially. You don't need to do it on certain stages, but it depends on what the enemy comp has, etc. But let's go ahead and discuss why this team is so good. I just wanted to show you guys. So future reference, anytime you're stuck, take a look at the replay function and see where they position, see what artifact they're using as well. And if you don't have this, it's okay. That's kind of just icing on the cake. Once again, I'm going to show you a different account here. But this is the crux. This is the core of what you're going to use, okay? So now let's go over the fine details on why this team is good. But let's head over to this section so I can talk about it a little bit more clearly. And as you guys saw, right, we're going to keep Cicia, which is nice because all of you have her. And I mentioned you don't need extra copies just yet. Where I'm at currently in the game, all the replays I look at, all of them have her mythic'd out, if not supremed out, so I need to hurry. And I think eventually you will hit parts of the game much later, though. When you're in the beginning, you can use this tip, this team, to great effect. So we're going to use Cicia, who you all have. Thorin, who is the best tank. If you don't have him, don't worry. We don't need him. We're going to use an epic character, a purple quality character, Entendre. Maybe Brutus too, but Brutus, if you don't have him, don't worry. We don't need him for every stage, okay? And we might not even in general. You might be able to get past that, but we'll talk about that here just a second. Smoking Murky we will be using, but if you don't have him just yet, I know he's not available in like the free-to-play, the arena shop. It's okay. The account that I'm going to show you later does not have him, and I made it work. But you do want to get him. He is so good for this. He's so good in areas like the Dream State. So make sure in your wish list, okay? Listen up. PSA, in your wish list, make sure you have Smokey and Mirky. Make sure you have Rowan. You guys might be able to get if you've ever spent 99 cents. If you're pure free-to-play, put him in your wish list, or maybe get him from that 7-day login reward if you don't get units like Iron. But Hewin, we don't need, even though she is typically, you know, in the tier list, they say she's the best healer. We don't need her for this progression. Instead, we're going to use another epic character called Coco. So put Coco in your wish list, put Mirky in your wish list, put Entendre in your wish list, okay? And also try and hustle and get at least one copy of Rowan, get one copy of Brutus, and all of you will already have Cecia, okay? So just make sure those in your wish list. You really want to use this team. It's not that hard to get, and I'm going to show you ways you can get around if you're missing like 1 or 2 key pieces. But the more of these units you have, the easier it will be, and you can kind of just pass through all those hard stages. Every team I've seen so far, every time I get stuck, it's always this core composition. This is the one that completes it at the lowest power level with the lowest amount of dupes. So utilize this. Let's go in and discuss it now individually, what the units do and how or why this team works so well. All right, so starting with Cecia, which you all have, she's going to be our main carry. She's really just the sole damage dealer. Essentially, guys, this comp is all about Cecia, and we're going to use her ultimate where she summons Carlisle to eliminate key problems, put an extra body in the field, and she's really just going to be the hyper carry. She's the only damage dealer. She's the one we care about the most, and the rest of the team is just there to accelerate her and make sure she is able to kill all the opponents, okay? Entendre, when you saw in that replay, guys, she died early, but she is one of the best and free-to-play accessible tanks. We're going to use her even over units like Thorin because she's going to reduce the damage on both her and Cecia, and sometimes we need Cecia to take some hits. So she has a lot of utility with the fact that she protects another ally in the front. And then, of course, as well, she has insane damage mitigation, so she can stall, right? A lot of it, like I said, is stalling for Cecia. Smoking Mirky, just an insanely solid healer. Maybe some people think the raw healing of Hewin is better, but the reason we want Smoking Mirky is because he activates much quicker if you don't have like EX weapon plus, I think it's +5 on Hewin. Regardless, he gets his ult faster and he provides some other buffs, not just pure healing, right? So just a very solid healer. You don't exactly need him, but you really, really want to get him. He makes your life so much easier. Rowan, very accessible. We can use him at 1 dupe. And remember, Smoky Mirky, we can use that 1 dupe also, meaning just 1 copy. Don't worry about this little star over here. We're just going to use Rowan, once again, to carry or accelerate our Cecia. We're going to use him as the battery, the energy battery, to make sure she gets into her ult and summon that Mr. Carlisle even faster. And last but not least, we have Coco, who make sure she's on your wish list. A lot of people don't really know what she does. Maybe you've seen a tier list that people recommend getting her. But she just has a lot of kind of passives and buffs that will really help this kind of play style. She recovers HP. Let's see. She feeds the weakest ally, granting some buffs. Let's see. She has some debuffs as well. And then her ult grants damage reduction, right? Which is kind of a unique defensive buff that a lot of the other healers may not have access to. As well as things like Life Drain, which works surprisingly well with both Cecia and her summon, Mr. Carlisle, who does a ton of damage, all right? So that's the gist of the comp. Oh, sorry, I forgot one unit here, Brutus, who sometimes you'll see people use. He is very effective because, once again, if we're just trying to stall for Cecia, right, this guy does it one of the best ways in that whenever he, not only does he taunt, reduces physical defense, he's going to stall them out by also, even when he dies. So when our enemy team has units like Vala, or if they just have a lot of damage, and you want units like Brutus to kind of take a lot of the pressure away from Cecia, away from the rest of your team, maybe share the damage load with Entendre, that he does this really well with his invincibility that he procs whenever he takes that first fatal blow. All right, so that's the gist of the team. We're going to use Cecia as the hyper carry, and the rest are just supporting her and getting her into that kind of zone so she can carry us. All right, y'all, I promised I would swap accounts and show you guys that this still works even on a newer account that isn't quite as stacked. This is actually my wife's account who graciously let me test. So what I did is I hopped on, I AFK auto-battled her with her strongest team, which involved units like she has Thorin here. She was using Viperion, the triple Graveborn setup that I showed her with supports like Hewin and Rowan. But we inevitably hit a wall in progress, and then I swapped. I looked at the replay, and of course, it was the same kind of meta comp that I was talking about here. I don't say meta comp, but the same progression comp involving Coco, Antandra, Brutus, all those normal units, right? But here's the problem. All the replays I saw used Smokey and Mirky, and my wife has not been able to summon them yet. A lot of you guys watching, if you're brand new or even newer, you're not going to be able to have all the exact units. So once again, make sure you use that wishlist function so that you can inevitably get them or eventually get them. On top of that, make sure, remember, you can also pull units from like the arena shop and the 7-day login chest if you're free to play. And then, of course, the longer you play, the game is going to give you every single character eventually, but that might take days and days, if not weeks, if months. So use what you have now. I'm going to show you what I did to break through her problem, her wall that she had. But you guys might have to swap around to fit your own needs. I don't know where you're at. And if you guys do need additional help, one-on-one help, just stop by any of my live streams. I'm on Twitch and YouTube. You can find my info below. And I've been doing this every single day. Been absolutely loving it. But let's go ahead and show you guys what I did. So we don't have Smokey and Mirky. I tried Hewin out as the healer, right? Because I'm missing Smokey and Mirky. Let's add more heals. She was actually way too slow. So what I did instead, I brought in the Brutus, and we just dropped the healing. We do have a little bit of healing still from the Rowan potions, plus the Coco lifesteal, and I think one of her skills gives a little bit of healing. But instead, we just dropped the main healer, and we used 2 big walls, right? Brutus with his invincibility, and Antandra with just her shielding and damage mitigation. And that was actually enough. We were able to stall long enough for Cecia to get into her ult. We put Carlisle on the problem units, and we were able to break through that wall even without having like Smokey and Mirky. So if you guys are missing a unit, try things out, find out what's happening, use the replay function, and try to copy it as close as possible. Same positioning, use the artifact they were using if you have it. And then additionally, if you're missing certain units, right, swap in and out things that you think might work instead. Try to experiment a little. If it doesn't end up working, you guys might have to wait till you get certain units. But hopefully these are very accessible, at least more than a lot of the top tier units that you'll see in guides, like those like Rainier and them. But regardless, one last thing I want to leave y'all a tip with. It's very important, right, not only just to copy the replay, but see where especially Cecia, the player that you're watching succeed on the level you're stuck on, where she casts her Mr. Carlisle, her ultimate. A lot of times you're going to have to place that specifically in a certain area so that he targets the problem unit and eliminates them as fast as possible. So just make sure that you guys are casting that appropriately. That is one of the biggest things that helped me and will probably help you guys as well. All right, I don't want to overload you guys with too much information. Start using this tip. Let me know if it works. And don't forget to stop by the live streams if you want to just chat or need additional help. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the game as much as I am. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.